proven by KICKTV's top 5 greatest January transfers. Let's kick off proceedings with an American who moved from the New England Revolution to Fulham in January 2007. Of course, it's Clint Dempsey. The Texas native became the Premier League's most expensive US import at the time when his £2 million move went through, allowing him to team up with fellow Yanks Brian McBride and Carlos Bocanegra at Craven Cottage. Deuce didn't score his first goal in England until May 2007, but it was a pretty darn important one when it came. His chip over Pepe Reina earned a 1-0 home win over Liverpool, which kept Fulham in the Premier League in his debut season. He spent 5 years winning over the Cottagers faithful, including a run that took them to the 2010 Europa League final, and he even returned for a cheeky short loan last January. Number 4 is arguably the best purchase of the 2014 January window, Nemanja Matic. How we laughed when Chelsea spent £21 million on a player they'd given to Benfica 3 years previously. But clearly, the Matic Mourinho brought back wasn't the same player Carlo Ancelotti had let go. In Portugal, the Serbian was transformed from a playmaker to a top-notch defensive midfielder, a role in which he's clearly thrived. Matic has been superb ever since he returned to the Blues. He's probably the best defensive midfielder in the Prem and almost certainly Chelsea's most important player too. It's pretty hard to say a bad word about him. Go on, have a go, I bet you can't. Number 3 is another Serbian named Nemanja Vidic, who came to Manchester United from Spartak Moscow on January 5th, 2006 for a bargain £7 million. The no-nonsense centre-back took to the Red Devils like a duck to water and was an absolute rock at the back for 8.5 seasons. He won 5 league titles, the Champions League and the Club World Cup. He eventually became club captain and he earned the Barclays Player of the Season award in 2008-09 when he was a vital cog in a defence that kept 14 consecutive clean sheets. He was generally pretty awesome right up until the day he left. Alright, number 2 is proof that I can talk about a January transfer that didn't involve Premier League teams. Thiago Silva's move from Fluminense to Milan in January 2009. The Brazilian centre-back cost the Rossoneri €10 million in that window, but he had to wait all the way until August to make his debut. But of course, it was worth the wait, with Paolo Maldini claiming he had the physical and technical characteristics of a champion after his first game. Silva developed into one of the greatest central defenders in the world during his 3.5 years at the San Siro, which is exactly why he cost Paris Saint-Germain over €40 million in the summer of 2012. A world record for a defender until they bought David Luiz, who may or may not actually be a defender. Well, that leads us to our number 1 January transfer of all time, but before that, honourable mentions go to Javier Mascherano's arrival at West Ham in January 2007, Andy Cole to Man United in '95, Daniel Sturridge to Liverpool in 2013, and Chris Samba, who was among the best January transfers when he moved to Blackburn in 2007, and then definitely the worst when he came to QPR in 2013. Quite an achievement. But that number 1 slot is for a man who shook the cop and turned into one of the Premier League's most prolific strikers ever, Luis Suarez. On January Deadline Day 2011, Liverpool flogged Fernando Torres and hastily reinvested most of that cash in Andy Carroll. But on that same day, they quietly brought in the Uruguayan from Ajax for £22.5 million, which would soon turn out to be an incredible bargain. Yes, Suarez was a cheat who bit people, got accused of racism, had zero sense of loyalty, and was banned a few times because he's an awful person. But boy, could he score!